When you're confidently saying yes or no to the things that feel right for you, sometimes there can be people who want to try to persuade you for their own gain and try to get you to do things that only make them happy. And if you're not self-aware enough to know when that's happening, you can be led down a different path that completely ignores your intuition and your inner guidance. So today I'm going to give you my tips based on my own personal experiences of dealing with these kinds of things to build your self-awareness, to stand firm in your decision making, and to notice and ignore when others may try to lead you down a different path. But before we get more into that, I'm Julia. Again, I'm here with my own experiences to help guide others to live in their own authenticity. I have about 6 pages of notes today that I'm going to get through, but I'm going to stay focused. Sometimes I can get a little bit away from the task at hand and start talking about other stuff, but we're going to stay focused today. So part of being authentic is knowing your body's cues and signals by building strong self-awareness and intuition. Being self-aware includes being aware of any pains, aches, discomforts, tensions, or anything that your body is telling you doesn't feel right. Like for me, it's uncontrollable shaking, it is stomach aches, sometimes it is the toots, sometimes we get the toots when something doesn't feel right. But your body will tell you when something feels wrong. It'll also tell you when something does feel right. Sometimes the physical symptoms of the two feelings can overlap, but when something feels wrong, there can be a sense of dread or a sinking feeling. I find that a lot. There can be like a sense of, almost like a sense of guilt when I am doing something that I shouldn't be doing, or vice versa. When, I should be doing something that I'm not already doing, I can get that sinking feeling in my stomach. But on the other hand, when something does feel right, we can feel excited, full of anticipation, full of hope, even a little bit nervous. Sometimes we can get those nervous toots when we're excited about something, but that can come from, those nerves can come from a fear of like succeeding sometimes, which is a whole other beast, a whole other topic that I can get to another time. But there can be fear that comes with that nervousness. But like I said, sometimes the physical symptoms and the emotions can be the same for when things feel right or wrong to you. Which is why we need to take that next step. We need to be listening to our intuition, because our intuition, you can call it your inner knowing, your inner guidance, your inner compass, gut feeling, whatever it is. I would say for the most part, it feels like it's like a quiet, calming, definitive inner voice that is confirming to you what you should be doing. Like when I listen to my intuition and when I hear that, it is like just a definitive. There's no fear behind it. There's no guilting or shame behind it. It is really just a confirming, voice, whatever it is for you. Sometimes it comes to me as like my own voice, but it's however you feel it. But when you have the awareness, your intuition will be paired with an emotional or physical reaction like I was talking about. But when I follow my intuition, there's a feeling of excitement for me, satisfaction, and sometimes a warm feeling inside that tells me that I just did what I was meant to do. And, it can be as simple as me just going to the store at the right time, meeting, a stranger to have the right conversation, and to then we start talking about ourselves, we get like the right opportunity, we start like talking to each other about like giving each other tips for certain things. Like that is following your intuition, following that nudge where you feel like you should be at that certain time, because it'll feel like the puzzle pieces are just clicking together. It just feels like an aha moment almost. And then every move you make based in your intuition, when you're following your intuition, will leave you feeling like you belong there. And the more you have those experiences of following your intuition and doing what feels right to you, because you have that awareness for your decision making, you'll understand then how to stand firm in your decisions without wavering or falling victim to any guilt imposed on you by others. So when I was writing, I had an example, and I sort of like based all of this off of this example, because like this was something that happened to me over the summer, and I was just like, okay, how do I make this a lesson? How do I bring this into like the channel? So over the summer, my family was having a cookout. We were just sort of sitting talking. Everybody was talking. It was just like around me. It was my immediate family. But, the food was ready, and my aunt, my grandma were telling my cousin that, he should get in line for a plate. He should get up and go eat. And he was 9 at the time. And they kept asking him if he was hungry. He kept saying no. They kept, being like, are you sure? Like, you got to eat at some point. He just kept shaking his no. He stood firm in his decision. And I was like sitting next to him. He's standing against my chair. And I'm sort of watching him. I'm watching this happen. I'm seeing him get a little bit annoyed. But he didn't give in. He just stood with his, no, I do not want to eat. No, I'm not eating right now. He stood with that. And, you know, our grandma and his mom walked away. They got their food. And so I said to him, I looked at him because we're like at the same level. He's just a little guy. And, you know, I said to him, I was like, you don't have to do anything that you do not want to do. So I was just confirming with him that if you do not want to eat, you don't have to eat. That's okay. Like, there will be a time to eat. And, you know, sure enough, about 10 minutes went by, 15 minutes went by. We were talking about him playing baseball. He got like this new sliding thing. He got it from the truck and he was, you know, just showing it to me. We were talking, we were walking around, and we ate when we wanted to eat. He wanted to have a hot dog, so we had a hot dog. And that was fine. There was no guilt. There was nothing that was, you know, making him feel uncomfortable for eating at a certain time, a time when he didn't feel like eating. So I was respecting his decision, and I wasn't trying to change his mind. And, you know, I feel like for me, like pushing food on somebody, making somebody eat when they don't want to eat can be, you know, a straight beeline to an eating disorder and an unhealthy relationship with food. So I was just making sure that he was eating when he wanted to eat and eating what he wanted to eat, because, you know, even though he has allergies, we were making sure that he was still fine with that. And, you know, I just wanted him to make the decision that felt right to him at the moment. And it seemed like, you know, during that time, it felt like he had experiences with this before because he didn't give in. It felt like he had been challenged in the past, you know, to do certain things and to make certain decisions that didn't feel right to him, but he stood by that. He just didn't waver. So know that when you are listening to what your body's telling you, again, listening to those bodily cues and those things that your body is telling you, like whether, am I hungry or not? Do I want to do this or not? And pairing that with also a solid inner knowing and a refusal to give in to other people, that is when you're following your heart and listening to yourself. I meant to say living for yourself, but also, hey, you're listening to yourself. You're living for yourself as well. You're not living for anybody else. But as I have another example about my cousin because he's so cute, but I also learn a lot about him. But as he's been learning and growing and getting older and stuff like that, he's now in the double digits, which is wild. I've noticed a lot more of his personality and his autonomy. And if I ask him to do something and he says no, I respect it and we move on to something else. If he doesn't want a hug, I'm not going to force a hug. But I'm also there when he changes his mind and wants to do something else. And every time I see him, there's sort of like this sort of tiptoeing around, like being a little bit shy and being a little bit cute and not really wanting to hug, not really wanting to talk. So I let it go. I joke with him and we will joke, and then we will, like, after an hour or two, he will come out of his shell and want to play, and then, like, by the end of the day, he will want me to sleep over. So it's just like I let him go through the motions however he needs to. And also, like, a few years ago, I wrote this other example. He was like 4 and he really wanted to have man buns in his hair. And I was like, okay, like, cool. That would be so cute. He just wanted to have like little buns in his hair, and which I thought it's just so innocent. It's just something that a little kid wants to do. And he was so excited for having his hair how he wanted it to be. So I think it is like so important to normalize allowing kids to have their autonomy, allowing them to choose for themselves, because there's a lot that we can learn from them. And I feel like a lot of times, like for us as adults, there was a time when we were kids and we weren't listened to. So I feel like it's so important to listen to kids, to allow them to create who they want to be and to live in their authenticity. And, you know, in that authenticity of when they want to eat, what they want to eat, listening to their gut feeling, listening to also reasoning with them too, you know. And because I feel like sometimes as a kid, like I didn't want to eat certain things, and, you know, my mom also like had us like eat gummy vitamins and stuff like that. So I feel like that's also important, like making sure they're healthy too. And again, having like this happy medium with them, but also listening to them at the same time. Like if they, again, don't want to eat at a certain time, if they want to eat in half an hour, like what is the difference? I don't understand that. But, you know, listening to that gut feeling and refusing to be led down a path that isn't our own is so important. We can learn that when we're young, and we can hopefully be reinforcing that as we grow up. As we listen to other people and vice versa, people listen to us and respect us. But building that self-awareness is key for us to be able to recognize where our energy should go and following through with that unapologetically. because others may try to override your intuition by pressuring you, guilting you, and getting you to change your mind, persuading you to do something that is for their benefit without listening to your needs and your feelings, because sometimes it is like your preferences just go right over their head, and they're going to do what they want to do, because others can ignore your opinions and decisions by focusing on how they want to persuade you to please them. Again, not all the time. This can definitely happen though, but I would say, again, just building that self-awareness to know when it is happening, because it's not going to happen all the time. It can happen, so just be aware and recognize when that's happening. Recognize those times by paying attention to how your body reacts around those people, reacts in those situations, and how your intuition is telling you to act. I was trying to put those words together. It's getting a little bit too fast, but when I feel like I'm not being listened to or my decision isn't being respected, sometimes I'll get a little bit angry. I'll get a little bit annoyed. And, over the years I've gotten angry, but now I'm just like, I'll do as much as I can. I will say as much as I can. If I'm not being recognized, I'm out. Because the other day I was at Staples and the employee just wanted me, the cashier just wanted me to get the app so bad. And I was just like, I don't have the app. I did not have the Staples app. I was not lying. And I knew that it would take me a while with other people in line to download this app, to make a login, to do all of this just to get like 20 cents off of this roll of tape. And, I was being persuaded and I was being guilted into getting this app, and I didn't like it. I just kept saying, no, that's okay. I'll do it next time. Thank you so much for telling me this. Thank you so much for your help, but I'm not going to get the app right now. I don't have time to get the app. And by the time I was leaving, she was holding onto the tape, so I couldn't grab it fully. I was just trying to slide it because she just was not happy that I didn't get the app. So in that moment, I said, okay, thank you. I stopped talking at a certain point, just said thank you, grabbed my tape, tried to grab my tape. I finally got the tape and I left. But yeah, sometimes people just really want us. Sometimes, again, they can just want to help us, but sometimes that can really just come off as, now you're not respecting me. I am understanding what you're saying. I cannot do that. I'm not going to do that respectfully, but now you're not respecting me. So again, in those situations, I take notes of the words that they're using, the tone that they're using, because by the time I left, like I said, thanks to the lady, she was like, you're welcome. She was just not happy. And so, yeah, taking note of the words that people use, the tone that people use. Sometimes come on is a common one for me. Come on, just do it. Come on. And are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? That one is always used to get me to rethink my decision. And, when it gets to the end of that conversation in that situation, there will be a, ugh, fine, or a, wow, okay. Because, they'll get really passive aggressive, at least just the people that I've dealt with, will get really passive aggressive when they realize that my mind is made up. I'm not changing my mind. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for your help, but I'm not going to take it right now. And that one comes up a lot. It comes up a lot when I don't eat certain things. So I feel like I am just an advocate for people eating what they want to eat, when they want to eat it, and all of that kind of stuff. I feel like all of that has just come from, that's basically sprouted into just authenticity, living for yourself, and knowing when your mind is made up and not wavering from that. So also, if you're lucky to deal with somebody who is respecting your decision, you can get an, oh, no problem, that's okay. Don't worry about it. I completely understand. And knowing the difference between the two, because there can be people who respect your decision and want you to make your decision for yourself. There can also be the times when people are just really trying to get their 2 cents in and really trying to get you to change your mind. So that is where that self-awareness comes in, and why it is so important to pair your self-awareness with your intuition to know when you should be making certain decisions at the right times. But no matter how anyone is reacting to your decisions and your boundaries, know that they are only yours to make. You make those decisions, you make those boundaries, and boundaries are in a way to be respected and to be respectful for you and other people. They are not something to be weaponized or anything like that. They are just there to help you and to help other people understand you better. And, you know, when you also have a healthy relationship with your body and your nervous system, pairing that with a strong intuition and making decisions that feel aligned with your soul, you will always be on the path that you're meant to be on. You won't be living a life that is meant for anybody else. You're going to be living the life that is meant for you. And that is what it feels to follow your heart, no matter how others get you to not do that at all. Sometimes people don't want you to follow your heart, and they want you to follow their heart, which is so strange. But I hope this was helpful guidance today to remember that you know yourself best. No one can come between your relationship with you and you. Your relationship with self is most important for all the choices that lie ahead for you. So that was that for today. I hope you got something for that. I hope it wasn't just jibber jabber the whole time. I tried to stay focused, and I did stay focused. I got through all my notes. So I will be back with another message, and you'll see me on the shorts and all the different things, threads, everything like that. Follow me wherever you feel like it. But I hope I see you next time. Bye for now.